The next item in the list is the hardware. Now, with the hardware you can enable the configuration reset switch. When this is enabled, you can actually press the reset button and it won't reset your complete player or NAS. It will only reset the administrative password should you lose it over time. You can enable hard disk standby mode. 30 minutes seems quite good, up to 1 hour, between 5 minutes and 1 hour. And you have an enable signal alert, which means that certain light on the QNAP will start flashing whenever you reach less than 3 GB of space that is left. You can enable an alarm buzzer that will beep if any error occurs, and you can enable write cache for ext4. This is actually used for the RAID 5, this ext4 format, so it's quite useful to have this enabled because it does increase the performance in general. Now, last item here is that you have a smart fan configuration. You can either set it manually, the rotation speed, to low, medium or high, and it will remain constant, or you can keep the smart function enabled, which means that the fans will blow as hard as needed based on the internal temperature, which is constantly measured. For security, this is actually something quite nice to have. You know, you have routers and PCs that have all kinds of virus and firewall protections, and this is actually QNAP's answer to building in something that is useful to make it secure. Now, if you set it to high, you actually enter IP address that are allowed to connect to the NAS, and nothing else will be allowed to connect. You can have medium, which means you allow everyone except the IPs that you enter in the list, and you have a low that allows all connections, so the list is actually deactivated. We have network access protection that allows us to block IPs from users that have attempted like 10 unsuccessful logons within a time frame of 10 minutes. You can of course alter this if you want to state, okay, within 30 minutes every user is allowed to make 10 times a false login attempt, and then we will block it for 5 minutes, up to a day, an hour, or forever. So this is quite a good system to have for all the different options, which include AFP, Samba, FTP, internet like HTTP, Telnet and SSH. So quite good. And then as the last item in the security, you can actually import SSL secure certificates if you have any. Now, this is quite advanced stuff that most people will not use, so if you stick around to some network access protection and the security levels, something about medium, that you enter all the local IPs that are allowed to connect to the NAS, you'll be more than fine. So the notification then is quite lovely to have. This means actually you receive a mail whenever the NAS is making an error. So you just enter an SMTP address. The port number for us is custom. Standard should be 25, but we have a custom one. Just never mind that right now. You just enter any mail address that allows you to recognize from where the mail is coming, especially if you have multiple NAS servers, and you enable of course the SMTP authentication if it's necessary. Now, what happens if you have a mail, I will show you later on. You can also send SMS text messages to your mobile phone if you have such a service available, which you can buy online somewhere. You can easily configure it to receive an SMS message whenever something is wrong, and then eventually you have an alert notification configuration, so you can send a system alert whenever there's a problem, either selected by email, SMS, or both. So we just select email on both, and then have an email notification setting to whom you want to send it. So I'm just going to enter my own mail address and then send a test mail. Now you will see that it actually is going to say it's success, and if we go to my mailbox, we're just going to check mail here. Let's see if it comes in, and there it is. You can see that the Python has actually sent a test mail from the NAS server, so it's working quite fine. We're just going to click apply here and then go to power management, and power management is one of the things I really like about the QNAP. The power management is where you can shut down and restart your server. Now, what I would like to see is that these two options become available in the header of the QNAP, so they're accessible via every subsection and not just here under power management. You can enable Wake on LAN, which is quite convenient if the NAS is located in a different room and you want to boot it up by the computer sending a magic package. And of course the AC power resume option can be configured here. Now in case there's any problem arriving with power failure, you can actually select if the server should remain down or just boot up automatically to its previous state. And the best thing that you can find here on the power management is actually enabling a schedule. And a schedule is quite fine because you can schedule a shutdown or restart or turn on the server at predefined times. Now let's imagine for a business using this that have different hours during the week and in the weekends, you can automatically schedule the up and down time of the server, which we're going to do right now as a quick example. So we're going to turn on the server every weekday at 7 a.m. which is going to add one more option, and shut down the server on a weekday at around 17 p.m. Now during the weekend we do work as well, so we need to turn on the server every weekend at 7 a.m. However, we only work half a day, so we just shut down the server over the weekend at around 12 noon. So we click apply, and that's that. So as of now, the server will shut down and boot up whenever we have office hours running. A second item that is very convenient to use this option is for people that have limited bandwidth for their internet connection. Many ISP providers have their way to state that if you download overnight, it will only count for half the volume. So if we want to schedule the NAS, we just turn on the server every weekday or once a week at 12 at night, so it's 0 hours, and we just shut it down again on the weekday at 8 a.m. in the morning, because then the normal rate would apply again. So this would enable us to have the NAS server boot up, start up the download services, download all the files, and shut down again at 8 o'clock. The only option that's missing from this schedule would be to state that the server can shut down whenever the torrent downloading is finished. So it doesn't really base itself on a process that is occupied. It just bases itself on the time that you define. One option though available is whenever the unit is making a replication job, a backup process, it will not shut down or boot up, and it will postpone the action until the backup jobs or replication jobs are fully completed. So it's quite well done, this option, except for maybe it could have based itself on checking that if the downloading is completed, it might shut down as well, because we now gotta guess how much time it needs to download and finish the job. Are you still there? Okay, great. So the next option that we have is the network recycle bin, which we can enable or disable. Now what does this feature bring us? It means we can create several shares on the NAS, and whenever we delete data, it's gone. I mean, a NAS is not a device you can recover just as easily as a PC with all the applications available. So the network recycle bin is actually quite easy. Whenever you remove any files, they actually will not be deleted but moved to the recycle bin, which you can access using the IP address of your NAS device. As you can see, the IP address entering will give you an overview of all the shares that are created on there. We're just going to give it a second to load it and see if it comes up. Don't know why. There it is. So here you can see the network recycle bin. Just make sure you add the proper security rights to enter this folder. So we're gonna show you that to you later. The only thing you got to take care of here is make sure that you know it's enabled, because if you delete gigabytes and terabytes in data, the data is actually not freed up on your server, but it's moved to the network recycle bin. So once in a while you gotta go in there and clean out the recycle bin, or you can just click on this button here and it will delete everything that's in recycle bin automatically. So it's quite easy and handy feature to have, but keep an eye on it though, that it doesn't grow bigger than your actual collection you want to keep.